Oh, hi. It's Mr. Squeegee again. Welcome to another episode of Whether or Not, brought to you by windowcleaningresource.com. Just getting into the van to get a short pole for the work. One of the things we want to talk about today, as we talked about earlier, we've discussed layering our clothing, having boots, gloves, some of the things we can do there to stay warm. But there are a few other tips that we want to think about when we're talking about staying warm in the wintertime, things that we can do. As I said before, there are liners that we can put in our gloves, other things we can do. One of the problems we face is our poles are often left in the vehicles, and they're a lot of times made out of metal, so they're going to get cold. And that cold is going to transfer even through our gloves into our hands. So with this particular pole, we've just taken some tennis racket handle wrap and wrapped it with that, and that not only provides a nice cushion grip when we're holding it, but it also keeps the cold from transferring into our hands. It's much warmer to deal with at this time of year. Now you can do that with your other poles as well. It might just take a cup, 2 or 3 of these packages of wrap to do that on say a 24-foot extension pole. And you just need to kind of do that the first few feet of the lower section so that you've got something warmer to get a hold of. So that's one thing to think about when we're doing this kind of work. Another thing we talked about last time was that some guys even talk about working this time of year without gloves. Now that's awful cold, so you might be asking, well, what do they do then? They're just that tough? Well, what they talk about doing is using these. These are little pocket warmers that when they're exposed to air, after a few minutes they begin to heat up. Some of them last 5 hours, some 7. The kind that we get lasts 7 hours. You find these a lot of places this time of year. We like to try to, at the end of the year, buy up a box or 2 of these because they're less expensive, and then we're ready for the next season. But like I say, they warm up, so some guys will keep a couple of these in their pouch here, and they'll just kind of put their hands in from time to time and get a hold of those, warm their hands back up, and take them out. Now that might work if you're doing, say, storefront and you just got a couple jobs and then you're back in the van. But if you're working on a house, on the outsides of a house, or a bigger job, a bigger commercial job, what we found to be really effective is to use them in conjunction with our gloves. We'll take those packs and you can place them inside your glove like this. Just put it in there right on the wrist, and you put it on the bottom like that, and that'll warm the blood that's flowing through your veins there into your hand. It doesn't take very long, and you'd be surprised at how much warmer your fingers feel doing that. The other thing is you can put it maybe on top of your wrist under the glove. It just kind of depends on how comfortable that feels for you. One of the things to know is that these work best with occasional exposure to the air. So if you feel like it's not as warm as it was, take it out, shake it up a little bit, expose it to the air for a couple minutes, and it'll begin to heat back up. You can put it right back in and use it that way. So we get them in packs of 2. You can just put 1 in each glove, and that really helps out. We also talked about having good thermal lined boots, also maybe neoprene liners. Well, one more level that you can take that to is these little packs. They're just toe warmers. They're adhesive. You want to make sure that you have a sock on, and then put this on the bottom of your foot on the sock, and then put that in your boot. Now these are designed to work without airflow, so they heat up and they stay hot, these for up to 5 hours. So that's something else you can add that gives you just a little more warmth to your feet, because again, most of your heat is lost to your extremities, like I talked about, through your head, through your hands, through your feet. Your feet are exposed because they're walking on really bad ground. It's cold, it's ice, so you want to make sure you're keeping your feet as warm as possible. A lot for safety, because again, remember, we're walking on uneven terrain, we're walking on questionable surfaces like ice, slick snow, sleet sometimes. We want to make sure that we have all the sensation in our feet, all the feeling in our feet, so that we can make sure where we're stepping so we don't injure ourselves and fall. Another thing to think about, we talked about in one of our episodes about solutions and mixing our different types of antifreeze in there to keep it from freezing on the windows. The most important thing to remember is that when we do that, we've now lowered the freezing point of that solution. Sometimes as far as 20 or 25 below zero before that solution will begin to freeze. So it's extremely dangerous to put your hands in that solution, not just from the chemical aspect, but from the cold aspect. So some guys will leave their squeegees in their solution, they'll leave their strip washer in their bucket. I choose to not do that. I like to keep my strip washer in my bucket on a belt, and I choose to have a bucket on a belt that has a quick release clip. Now that's beneficial because when I'm done with the job, instead of sticking my whole belt in the van and possibly having this tip over and spill chemical all over my vehicle, I can just clip this off and I can stick it back in the corner and it's ready for the next job. So when I get to the next job, I put on my belt, grab my bucket on a belt, and just slip it on my clip, and I'm ready to go for the next job. Then when I need to wash this, I either carefully put it in with by hand or on a pole, which is easier, keeps you away from the chemicals a little bit more. So again, that's where even a short pole when doing lower windows can really come in handy at this time of year, because again, you can just keep that on the pole as you put it in the bucket, and that's going to again keep your hands away from that solution as much as possible. That's the important thing to remember. The little tips like that will keep us from getting ourselves any colder than we have to at this time of year. One last thing I want to say is maybe take along a thermos of hot coffee or hot tea, something to kind of warm you up, take a break, get in, have some of that. Some guys like the sweet stuff like cocoa. I would advise against that just because it gives you that quick sugar high. But again, remember, our bodies are converting a lot of our energy into heat to keep us warm. So we can go into a situation where we've used up that sugar high, and now we have less energy to keep our bodies warm. So try to keep it away from the sugar things, but some coffee, maybe some warm tea, some hot tea throughout the day. So again, just a few of the things we can do this time of year to keep ourselves warm and safe. Be safe out there, guys, and thanks again. This has been another episode of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Mr. Squeegee, and on behalf of WindowCleaningResource.com, I'd like to thank you.